These students are so passionate about their sports too. They are living and dying with every play on the field, just like the rest of the fans. And I think sometimes people might think, well, the band just does music and they're over there doing their own thing, but they are invested. And the success of the university and of the sports teams and everything is our success as well. And just happy to be part of it.
Welcome onto the sideline, everybody. I'm Matt Dowell with you for another episode, and I'm so excited for this guest because this is our first guest that's kind of like a part of the sports world, but not necessarily an athlete or a coach or anything like that. But today on our show, we have Dr. Jay Jacobs, the director of the South Carolina Marching Band. He's joining our podcast. Jay, welcome to our podcast. I'm so excited to talk to you about music, how much you guys influence South Carolina athletics. I'm fascinated about this conversation today, but welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Matt. It's great to be here. Thanks for asking me over. It's exciting. I'll tell you everything I can about what we do over there.
Because when I was at a football game, and when I'm thinking about who I want to interview next, I was watching you guys perform, and I was like, the South Carolina Marching Band plays such a huge integral part into Gamecock athletics, especially the football game day experience, really all sports. But since we're in football season, you guys play such a massive role in setting the tone, the environment, the traditions, everything. And game day is not game day without the mighty sound of the Southeast. So you are the director of the Carolina Band, which was founded in 1920. So it's a very historic band. I can't imagine, all of the things that you have to deal with on a day in day out basis, because there are so many moving parts to a marching band. But first, where are you from, and how did you get your start in music?
Oh, wow. So I'm originally from Morgantown, West Virginia. I grew up in a college town at WVU's right there.
A mountaineer.
Mountaineer from birth, I guess, and whole family, huge fans, sports fans. And so, yeah, growing up in a college town and going to football games and basketball games and seeing the marching band there, and kind of got my start on trumpet in fifth grade, still remember opening the case the first day, but who knew where that was going to take me, really. But I love music, and I've always been a big sports fan. And finishing at WVU, I headed off to Illinois and taught middle school and high school band, not too far west of Chicago. And then from there, I decided, hey, I think I want to go back to school, do grad school, get back into the college band world. And while I was in graduate school at, I don't know if I can say this, the University of Florida, so SEC school, figured out this is what I want to do. I want to teach college level. I want to teach future band directors, take what I've done and share it with generations to come. And went from grad school at Florida to McNeese State University in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Kind of built the band program up there to where we thought like it was really, really good, and kept an eye out for a great job to come open, because I always aspired to go back to like a big program. If I was going to stick with athletic bands more so than other music, I want to go somewhere great. And this job was open, and applied for it. And man, this is the dream job. Back in the SEC, Williams-Brice, Gamecocks, and so added the garnet and black to my, color palette from years of universities. And this is home, man. I love it.
So when did you get to the University of South Carolina, and at what point did you become the director of the band?
So I arrived here in fall of 2019.
Okay.
Was my first year at South Carolina, and so technically I'm the associate director of bands at the university, but my other title is director of athletic bands. So I oversee all of basketball, volleyball, football, band stuff. So
that's cool. And you spoke about your love for athletic bands, and obviously music. There are so many layers to music. What is it about the athletic bands that has always appealed to you, and how does it differ from other types of bands?
Music's always top of the list for me, but I mean, close second right there is just, athletics and college athletics. I love the pro sports too, but most of my days are, following college hoops and football and softball, baseball, the whole thing. I love just going in. The atmosphere is what I think draws me to that. Being a giant sports fan, and then combining that with the music side of my life is just, it's perfect, because at some point it was like, where am I going to go with this? Am I going to do more of being a conductor with orchestra or bands, or am I going to be in the athletic, venues with music? And I think the atmosphere that combined with, fan experience and marketing from athletics, plus how the band fits in with that, the traditions that you find at all the different universities, it's really interesting. You could do this forever, but when you step into a new place through another door, it's like, oh, this is the same as what I know, but there's so much you don't know when you walk in. It's like, I'm walking in going, okay, the fight song is this one, and we play this in the stands. And, what did the fans expect from the band? It's a little bit different at the different places you go to. So I think it's just the atmosphere and the value that comes from the universities and athletic departments for what the band program brings to the atmosphere. It's the traditions, whether it's visual or audio, what music is being played, how the fans react and interact with the band. It's just exciting. How can you go to a game and not be excited by the atmosphere as well as obviously the team and their success?
Okay, so let's get into the ins and outs of this everyday, really just machine is what I call it, because it is a machine in a lot of ways. I'm a person that loves the process. I love finding out like how things work and what goes into your day-to-day life as a marching band. So first, how many people are in the marching band?
So here at USC, we have 375 students in the band, plus a pretty big staff of, I'm going to get the number wrong, probably between 15 and 20 staff members that help run the whole thing.
So within all of those people, how many sections are in a band as far as like instrument-wise?
Oh, sure. So, big picture, there's what we would call the winds, so brass and woodwind instruments, and then there's the percussion, the drum line, as well as the color guard, which is the flags and sometimes rifles, the different things they use. And here we have the Coquettes, which is a dance team, which is part of the Carolina band. Some universities have a dance team that come in and perform once in a while. And, of course, there's a Carolina dance team as well, which is another dance team on campus, which is fantastic. But we're super lucky to have kind of and that comes from tradition of years and years and years. At some point, someone said there should be a dance team with the band, and that became the Coquettes. So
when you guys are starting a new school year, where do you start as a band? Like day one, what's the first thing you guys are addressing to get ready for the football season, especially?
Yeah, no, it's kind of a year-round process, like the sports are too. If I was thinking like, well, gosh, where do I start? We start this fall. Here in the next few weeks, we'll have a meeting with students who are interested in the creative process and what we're going to do next year. And they'll bring us ideas on music and shows or general ideas of what we can perform. And then the staff will meet and take all those ideas, come to a conclusion of what we're going to do at halftime, what music we can add to our stands performances during games. And then there's nothing during the summer until about 10 days before classes start in August. And we hit the ground with, we have a student leadership team of about 40 students who apply and go through an interview process. And there are section leaders. Each section has some piccolos, clarinets, trumpets, trombones, the whole thing. So they, and those students, and I should mention, first of all, we also have featured twirlers. I don't want to leave them out of the whole process. They're fantastic. And they go through an audition process. So, and in the midst of all that stuff in the spring are the auditions for the next year's band. But when we hit the ground running in August, we start with a few days of a leadership camp just to talk to our students about what's important to them, make sure they realize the impact that they have on the band. And we talk to them about the marching band, had kind of, not to go into too much, but has two sides of a same coin. One side is what everybody on the outside sees on game days and we're performing for things. On the inside is the culture of the band program, just like the sports teams have their culture. And our students, they're in control of that. And we want to make sure that they know that they are and how to present a situation and an environment to all the members where they feel welcome and they belong and they know they're contributing. And because it's a long season, and I joke with them a lot. I say, look, we're a family and we're together way too much, which is not really true. We can never be together too much. And when you're with people for so many hours a week, you have to have a good culture on the inside of the program, or else things will start to pull apart. But once we have our meeting and get together with all those leadership students, then the full band rolls in for about 8 days of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Rehearsals. We take a break for lunch and dinner, but they're full days for a good 8 days to put everything together. Learn the music, learn how to march, learn how to play, learn the actual music we're going to play. And it's in August and it's in South Carolina. Yeah. And we joke a lot of we love doing this, but there's a screw loose somewhere that we all do this in this heat while we're down here and go through what we go through. And the students are fantastic. They're the greatest people I could ever be around. They're brilliant. They're all smarter than I am, and I just try to point them in the right direction.
I want to tell everyone, too, because I get to be on the sideline for these Gamecock football games, and especially, so I get to see the band up close and personal, and when I tell you guys, their uniforms, I don't know how they do it, especially in September, but it's amazing that they can do what they do. The marching, the instruments are, not light. Some of them are really heavy, and they got to just be in the zone. And like I see it, they are in their mode, and it's really fascinating to see. But I'm sure too with that whole process, I mean, they almost have to train in a way. They have to train their voices, their bodies. They got to hydrate. They got to do all that stuff just like athletes do to get ready for a full Saturday, because it's a long day.
It is, and it's comparable to what the athletes go through. It's not the same thing, but there are similarities and differences. And from the time we come in, conditioning is part of what we do. If you come to a rehearsal, even just a regular weekday rehearsal, more so in our preseason camp, there's a lot of stretching going on. We have an athletic trainer through the university that's with the band full time in the fall. And that room is busy. There's with 380 students, there's a likelihood of some tweaking or injuries, through the season can happen. And so we're super lucky to have an athletic trainer with us, and some bands across the country do, but not nearly enough. So we know we're lucky. But yeah, it's a conditioning process with the heat for sure. And, when we roll into that first game day, even if it's at night, we're in the afternoon, we're out before the game starts doing things too. So hydration and nutrition are big. We talk to the students a lot about that in order for them to be successful and stay healthy through the game day process.
So how many songs and performances are you guys working on for one school year? And does it work that way? Is it like you guys have a set and that's the set for the year, or does it change depending on the sports? How does that work?
Wow, yeah. So when I think about it, there's the visual component and there's the musical component to it. So obviously we have our pregame show that stays the same throughout the year with football, and that is a good 15, 17-minute production with we have a couple different marching styles. So there's the regulars, kind of what we call low marching, and the Carolina band has high marching. So it's like a high knee lift through pregame that you'll see a lot. And we spend a lot of time on that because it's pretty hard to play their instruments while doing that and sound good. And they can play it and not sound good. But the creative process beyond pregame is we usually have 7 home games, and we'll have 7 different halftime shows that we do. And so each halftime show is about 8 minutes long. And sometimes we have 1 week to put a show together. If we have back-to-back home games, then what we have to do is put a new show on the field on Tuesday, try to get it as great as we can make it by Friday in 4 days for Saturday. And sometimes we have 2 weeks and sometimes we have 3, depending on the football schedule. So if we see home games one year that are back-to-back, that's a really rushed process because the show stays the same length, even though it's only a week between them. So we have a way of on Tuesday. We rehearse Tuesday through Friday, 5 to 6:30, 4 days a week. The drums and the flags have an extra rehearsal, and the dance folks have an extra rehearsal on Mondays. So we're anywhere from 6 hours a week to those extra ones add another hour or two to it. So when we roll in on Tuesday with a full band for the first time, that is mainly the visual component of learning the set. We call them sets, the pictures, if you will, or the movement on the field for halftime. They learn that. Part of the rehearsal spent on music, and then the further we get into the week, the more we combine the music with the visual, repetition after repetition, so they know where to go, when to move, how far to move, what their step size is, and the longer we have to prepare, the more pictures, I guess you would call them, in halftime that the fans will see. If it's a 3-week show, then we put a lot more pictures and a lot more movement. As a 1-week show, we kind of cut it back a little bit to make sure it's going to look good and really sound good.
I love the visuals so much. It's one of, I get to be in the press box too for a lot of it. So when I get to look down on it, it's just such a cool picture. How do you guys visualize that? And how in the world do you get everyone to know what they're supposed to do? Because it's insane what you guys come up with.
Yeah, it's I love the visual part of it. I write the vast majority of the visual things you see on the field is me writing those. The pregame, we call it drill, marching drill. The pregame's been the same for a long time, but it's intricate and the students change in and out. So you're teaching it new basically every year. There's a handful of returners that know it really well and help us out. But the process is we actually, not to go into it too scientifically, but it used to be all done by hand. Now there's some software. Now the software doesn't write it for you, but when I started, we'd have it would look like a rectangular piece of graph paper that has a graph on it, like a grid on it, and you would put a dot, take a pencil and put a dot for every person in the band, and you'd create the picture, and then you'd get another piece of paper, put it on top of that, and write the next page of the drill. And they would go from one page to the next. And so the students, when they receive the drill, they have an X coordinate and a Y coordinate based on the football field markings.
Oh.
So maybe me as a trumpet player, my first spot in the first page, first picture, will be 4 steps away from the 45-yard line, 13 steps behind the front sideline, or from the hash, or from the back hash, or the back sideline. And so you have those XY coordinates. And it used to be that the students just had a piece of paper that said on page 1, you're this many steps from a yard line and this many steps from a hash mark, and go stand there. And then you'd go to your next spot, and however many counts in the music that you have. The software is still dots and a grid. You're just moving around with a mouse instead of a pencil. And the software now animates it. So the students have an app on their phone, and we upload the marching drill to their phones, and they look at it in rehearsal, and they can not just have that XY coordinate, but they see their dot on the field, and they can push play and watch it move. So the learning process for the visual part of it is much faster now, with them being able to see it on their phones. And actually, we've gone to all of their musics on their phone too. So we don't print any music on paper anymore for our band. So we've become a much greener organization, and they have everything in their phones. And the first when this started happening, the first concern from band directors was like, oh man, we're gonna have students out there on all their social media in the middle of rehearsal, not paying attention to what we're doing. But they're not like that. The students, certainly at the college level, they know their time is limited. We only have a certain amount of time to get through everything, and they want to be really good on Saturday. So that's not really an issue. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it eventually, the more reps, then they can play their music and not worry so much about where they're going on the field. They feel confident about it, and everything comes together for Saturday, we hope.
Yeah, especially there's that pressure, and the standard is very high for this band. So there is that pressure of they want to perform well on Saturdays, and so they can't look at social media. They got to know what they're doing, because if one person's out of line, out of step, it kind of messes up the whole visual, the whole image. And what's so impressive to me is that they're doing this. They have to know their steps. They have to know where they are on the field while playing an instrument. I mean, they have to work the breath control, the notes, all of that. They have to know what they're doing. So it's just all so impressive. Going off of that, game day is a long day. I know for me and Press, they can be 12 to 16-hour days. They're long for fans. They're long for players, coaches, all that. Can you take us through a typical Saturday at Williams-Brice Stadium for the marching band, from the time you guys get there until the time you guys go home? What does a game day look like for the South Carolina Marching Band?
Yeah, so we finish up Friday night rehearsal and go through with them like, okay, here's what's coming tomorrow. Be aware. So even at the beginning of each week, they receive an email from us that has a detailed itinerary for the weekend for Saturday. So they can look at Saturday and know where they have to be when, with what equipment. And so our game days, we have a rehearsal 6 hours before kickoff. So we gather, and we have a great partnership with Gamecock Athletics. So for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been using the Spurrier indoor football facility on game days. So the students will get themselves there. They'll show up. We'll go through a good stretch, get them warmed up, go through rehearsal. Just at that point, it's just repetition to make sure they all feel good, remember everything we worked on during the week. We'll do a 90-minute rehearsal. We'll break and we'll feed them, be it a late breakfast or an early lunch or an early dinner. So we'll have a little bit of time for them to eat and to get hydrated and to change into uniform. At a certain point, we send out 4 smaller bands of about 25 students each to go. There are tailgate bands, and so folks who have been to the games will see these small little groups of the Carolina band in the fairgrounds and around Gamecock Park and the Cockabooses, and they go out and play as many places as they can in about 30 minutes. The drum line goes and plays for team walk, plays the team in from the buses into the stadium. Then we have the leftover band they're called the indoor band. They just hang out in the indoor band in the indoor facility, get dressed, wait for their time to go out. And then all at once, those tailgate bands, the drum line come, and the indoor band get together and show up in Gamecock Park to do our pep rally for the folks there. Pep rally is about 30 minutes, and they have some family time. They meet friends and family and say hi, to their folks that never get to see them. So that's a really special time. Then we line it up 4 across and march into the stadium. Get in the stadium about 30 minutes about 45 minutes before kickoff. Watch the clock, give them a time, what time we're going down to do pregame, and off we roll for the game. When the game's over, we play for about probably 20, 25 minutes or so in the stands, and So pretty much the only people in the stands are the band fans and the families. Everybody else is off sitting in traffic, and we play for a while. So everybody's always welcome to stick around, listen to the band play.
Yeah.
It's better than sitting in your car. But and then we'll block it back up, and the drums will play, and we'll cadence back to the indoor facility, huddle it up, talk about how things went, what's next, tell them to have a good night and be safe, and start over the next week.
Dang, so it's about a 12-hour day, would you say, for home games?
I would, yes. We've had these 7:45 kickoffs, and so we've gone from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and get out of the stadium. It's probably about midnight, and I'll end up back at my house about 1:32 a.m. So
Whew, it's a full day.
It is, but so rewarding, man. It's so exciting.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then for noon, I mean, that's a 6 a.m. call time.
Yes,
for
we
noon kickoffs.
knock on wood, we haven't had one of those for a little while, but we'll have at least one coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll start about 6 a.m.
So for away games and neutral sites bowl games, is the process the same? Does everyone go to the away game, or is it just, seniors go? How does that work?
Great question. So we have just a handful of games where we'll take the full band. So the full Carolina band will, like we went to Atlanta to play Virginia Tech this year. So if it's a kickoff, special kickoff game for the season at a neutral site, we'll take the full band. Gone to Charlotte, obviously, several times, and Atlanta was fantastic. And then we've traditionally taken the full band to Clemson and to any postseason games. Hopefully we have to figure out what we'll do for playoffs, sometime soon. But if it's a bowl game, the full band will travel for that. And then for all the other away games, we'll take either 2 buses full, which will be about 105 students on those. Or if it's beyond a certain mileage, then we actually fly 45 students to the farther reaches, like Missouri and A&M. And
like Baton Rouge this weekend.
Baton Rouge is right on the line, so
Okay.
we're flying a group down there, and so we'll fly 45 down there. And so the flights we'll bus up to Charlotte and take a commercial flight to wherever we're going, and then back on Sunday.
Whew, that's a lot of moving parts, because you got to get the instruments there, you got to get everything.
It is, man. The staff is so good. I talk about how great the students and the band are, but our staff, there's so many things in operation, but from meals to feeding the band. I mean, you think about it, you field 380 people. It's a lot of food if we eat 2 meals or 1 meal a day. Transportation, working with parking. Our administrative staff does a great job because there's a lot of coordination with the away venues when we go, figuring out the hotels and the meals and the stadium procedures. It is a massive machine to get through the season, and need all those folks. They make it happen. I just try to point things in the right direction, but there's troops on the ground making all this happen day to day to day.
You, as the director, you're like a coach in a lot of ways, and these are young people learning, having great experiences that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. What are the things that you, as a director, emphasize and prioritize on game days for all of your musicians?
I think one of the biggest thing is, and they realize this quickly after their first performance, is the communicating the impact that they have on the community, on the team, on the environment and atmosphere of the games, and also how much they're appreciated, which is great. The support in the community and from the university, from the president's office, the provost, to the coaching staff, and all of athletics is fantastic. Coach Beamer comes out and talks to them at band camp each year, and spent a good 30 minutes talking to them and fielding questions, and which were all great football-oriented questions. I don't know if he expected it, but they, I think, slowly realize the support that's out there for them. And once they get to a performance day, I keep saying that because it's a good matter of several weeks before they get to perform in front of people. And that's several weeks of preseason camp going 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and sweating to death and going, is this really worth it for the new people? Because they don't know what's coming. And we tell them, like, look, stick with this. It's hard. The worst thing we can do is come in here and do band camp with you first and make you do all these rehearsals for 3 weeks before we ever get any kind of reward for what you're doing in terms of performance. So talking that, kind of acclimating them to USC and the support they have here and the impact they have, watching the band on game days and the tailgate bands and the interaction with the fans and the public that are out there. I mean, little kids coming up, shaking hands, wanting autographs on things, that's really what I love to see, the community connection between the band and the university. And it's such a big picture. It's hard for the students it's hard for me to back away far enough from it to appreciate what that connection is and the impact that they have. Because you're always looking at the next thing. We finish a show, you have like the team, man, you have like this little bit of time to celebrate what you just did, and then it's like, okay, what's next on Tuesday?
Yeah.
You know, the next show's up. I'm good at going on tangents, so I don't know if I got away from your question, but
give us the tangent.
It's a special group that works so hard, and to see, I tell them my greatest joy is watching them experience college band, you know, because without the band part of it, and I know I was going into a career in music and I was focused on my theory classes and learning to play all the instruments and doing all this, but that family community atmosphere within a college band is really special for me. Otherwise, it would have just been taking tests and writing papers and getting a degree and then going and getting a job to work the rest of my life. This one, and I think that's what kept me in it, is seeing there's the impact outward, but there's so much impact inward on the students of what they take away from it. And part of my job as kind of the coach is to try to slow them down for a second and go, appreciate what all of this hard work you put in is resulting in, you know, in terms of interactions and performances and the relationships that they take away from having been in a college marching band or college band. Because again, they spend a lot of time with each other.
Yeah.
You know, marriages come out of college bands all the time. You hear all the time. And I tell them, you know, my best friends in my life came from my college band years. I had a great high school band experience. I love those people too. But the folks that I keep in touch with on a regular basis, the people you work so hard next to, you know, and just, you know, dehydrating every day, you know, something to bond you together, that common goal and experience being part of something that's so much bigger than you as an individual.
Yeah. And one day, you know, they'll be in the stands of Williams-Brice Stadium looking at the next generation and being like, man, I loved it so much. And they'll be reminiscing and all that. And you're right, the experiences and the relationships are just things that they'll have for the rest of their lives. My mom was a high school theater teacher for 30 years. So I grew up in the arts. I know that crazy things happen, and most of them happen on show days. So for you as a director, if you can give us, I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. What's the craziest thing that's happened on a game day? I'm sure you got a lot. I'm sure you got stories on stories on stories.
You know, my phrase is, it's always a new adventure. You never know what's coming. You can have the itinerary down to the minute.
Everyone's rehearsed well.
Exactly. You know, you show up at a visiting stadium, and your seats aren't, well, they're always where they're supposed to be because our athletics folks put us right.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you'll have questions from the visiting, you know, the venue you're at going, is this where you're supposed to be? You know, we had you over here. Or lots of things the things you can't control, right, that just drive you crazy. Travel, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
A couple years, I think not this time when we went to Missouri, but a couple years ago when we took a group to Missouri, I was with that trip, and fly commercial, and we got to St. Louis, and we're at baggage claim, and half the instruments didn't show up. They didn't get on the plane from Charlotte. So, what do you do? It's Friday night. It's getting late on a Friday evening when we get in there. The game's the next day. You're going, well, if we don't have the instruments, what are we going to do tomorrow? So, thankfully, things like that worked out. The airline was great. They came in on the last flight of the night from Charlotte to St. Louis, brought them. The airline employees put them in their personal vehicles and brought them to our hotel at like 2 a.m. So we were fine. But it's things like that where at the moment you're like almost panic, but it's like you just go, well, we have no control over that. What's the next best thing we can do? So those things, the travel is a lot, the travel and the feeding. I mean, again, when you're dealing with a group that big, it's like, you almost it's easier to look at what things didn't go the way you thought they were going to, as opposed to what things actually went the way you planned for. So, but yeah, it's the students are the constant. They're great, and they are amazing in their flexibility, because so many things change on us from a schedule perspective to logistics, especially on a game day. Because we'll tell them, hey, you're going to do this, 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 and this, and then on the third thing, we're doing something completely different. They're going, well, why did you tell us that? Oh, okay, well, I guess that's what we're doing. And they turn on a dime. They're like, okay, we'll make this work, which is great.
So they have to be willing to adjust with any kind of situation that might come up. I'm assuming too, on nights like that, when you're like, well, our instruments aren't here, you're like, well, I'm not sleeping tonight, I guess. I guess I'll just be up until we figure out what's going on. I know we're in football season, so we're talking a lot about what happens on Saturdays. But of course, once football's over, we move on into the next season. And there actually is a time too when the seasons collide. There's a good month where everything's going on at the same time. So when you guys transition to basketball especially, and then other sports sports as well. How do you decide what the band looks like in those seasons? Because obviously they're not as big in the arena as they are, Williams-Brice Stadium.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the vast majority of students that are doing, we have volleyball pep band here in the SEC also. So
Cool.
we've got a group of 45 students that go play at home volleyball matches. And you'll see us if you were on a night during the week when there's a volleyball match. Marching band finishes at 6:30. Those students are already in their band polos and like almost a sprint down the stairs to get on buses to go to the volleyball center and play for that. And so sometimes that overlaps. Basketball season's coming up here for a few weeks. We'll have volleyball, basketball, and football happen at the same time. So, the volleyball band and the basketball band are audition groups as well. Most of the students in basketball band are in marching band as well.
Okay.
But there are some students that, for that group, the basketball, they don't have to be in marching band to do it. Volleyball, they do just because it's the same music and the same season, basically. But yeah, so we have auditions for basketball band. We take, we had probably over 100 students audition for that. We take about 80 and put them in. We split them off into two bands, and they rotate all the home basketball games for men's and women's games. So some of the music's the same as it is from football, from marching band, but we add to it. We probably have, I just looked at it today, probably 50 pieces of music for basketball. We rehearse that a little bit at a time and get it all by the time we're into probably February. We've got all of our music down and a big playlist to choose from. But those students, they work together. They're allowed to get subs to come from them if they have a class one night when there's a game or they have an exam or something. So they sub in and out for each other. But the venues are all fantastic. It's just a little variation on the big picture marching band for what we do.
I know anytime women's basketball wins a tournament or something, I know just because from my experience, the first place I go is the band because I know Dawn's going over there to dance, to have a celebration for that. It's been it's a cool tradition now with that program, and it's such a cool way for her to spotlight you guys during basketball season. I mean, for you guys as musicians, when you see her interacting with the band like that, that has to mean so much to you guys.
It really does. That kind of interaction with the coaches and the players is really special. I was super lucky coming through school. I was lucky to be at some great basketball times at institutions, and it meant so much to see a coach come over or the players come over. I mean, gosh, even a wave would be great and a thank you, but for them to come over to the students and be part with them. I know travel on the flights and things for NCAA tournaments and going to conference tournaments. The students get to interact with each other, and again, I just I'll stand back. I'm like, this is awesome, to see that mutual respect and appreciation for all the hard work that folks put in on both sides. So.
Last year, you guys got to be part of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And when I tell you guys, when you guys came on the screen, I cheered, I clapped. I was like, let's go, University of South Carolina. It was so cool. And obviously, that has to be like a bucket list item for anyone to be part of. It was so cool to watch this band be on a platform as massive as the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Can you take us through that whole day? I mean, and what that was like for you guys as a band, because that was just unbelievable. It was so cool to watch you guys there.
There's so much to talk about with that Macy's parade.
I think we could do a whole episode probably about that.
We could. I always want to say, first and foremost, thank you to everyone who contributed in any possible way, financially or otherwise, to get us there. That is a massive, massive undertaking, and through the support of the university, everyone at the university, and so many alumni who built the Carolina Band program for the current students to see that happen. We know it wasn't just, hey, we did this. Man, that's 100 years of people building us up to get the recognition and the opportunity to do that. So whatever you all did, thank you for doing what you did to get us there and make it possible. And it was obviously it was a year and a half of build up and trying to make sure we had everything we needed to do it. The actual departure at 6, we had a home game the night before in Williams-Brice, and then a 5 a.m. call time on Sunday morning to get on buses to go to New York. But the excitement was there. I don't know if anybody slept anyway, for a few hours, but we had lots of, again, travel challenges on the way up. The students rolled with the punches. I mean, when we finally got close to New York, there was an accident in the tunnels, and we sat for an hour and a half waiting to get into the city. So we got in probably at 1 or 2 in the morning to our hotel Monday morning. But the rest of the week was great. We did a fantastic combined performance with the University of Massachusetts, the UMass band down on Pier 17 in New York, and just tons of Gamecock fans and UMass fans there for that. That was on Wednesday. And then the day of the parade, it's just the excitement build up, right? So we get up, our call time for the students to get all their stuff and go load the buses was 1:45 in the morning because we got to run through in front of the cameras at 3:20 a.m. In Herald Square to make sure that you knew the dimensions and everything was working, that you practiced all fall.
So they do like a dress rehearsal almost.
They do.
Oh, okay.
They do kind of a dress rehearsal with every band, actually, and every talent, the floats and everything from Monday right up to parade time almost. And so many of the bands have that very early in the morning rehearsal. It's dark, the lights are on. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
And so at 3:20 we had 10 minutes we ran it in and out, ran it several times, and they like, okay, your 10 minutes is up, thank you. And then we got on the buses, went to breakfast, got back on the bus. Everybody slept for about an hour and a half, and then got off about 7:30 to line up and stand and wait for about an hour and a half for our chance to get in the parade lineup. And the rehearsal was great. It was fantastic. The weather held off, and then by the time we were waiting in line to go, it was roughly 40 degrees and raining really hard. So, so the parade weather could have been better, but hey, it's New York in November, so you never know what you're going to get. And then for the students, because I know they were, I'll say it, I was miserable standing there for an hour and a half, soaking wet, freezing.
Yeah.
But when you got on the street and started, and man, the first time they played, it was like I looked at our other directors. I'm like, all right, there it is, and it was fantastic. They did a great job and held the energy, and the cameras at Herald Square, the very last thing. And so when they rolled in there and did that, it was a moment. I'll get choked up thinking about it. It's like, it's just it was so much work and effort, almost like every home game at Willie B. You put in so much work, and then to see the result is really rewarding. And that's the stuff we tell them in early August, like, stick with it. It's going to be hard, but it's going to pay off, and you're going to love it.
That has to be like an out-of-body experience to be like, we're at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade playing in this iconic, parade. It has to be so cool. So this might be a dumb question. Do you guys play the whole parade, and then they tell you like, okay, you're on TV at this moment? Do they communicate that, or you just go and you don't know when you're going to be on TV?
The route, and where the TV set, because really you do a good 1.5 to 2 miles, and then and as a director, I'd walked the route and knew where everything was.
Got you.
And so you get to a spot where it's like it's a silent area, so the bands stop playing, and then at that point we reset into a different formation to go in to be on the cameras. And so you're in a silent area, and you just kind of walk your way up, and then you turn the corner on the 34th Street, and there's a starting line, and you line up there, and you wait for the television directors to drop their hand and say, go, it's your turn, and off you run. So
that is so cool. It's so cool. I mean, like I said, I was cheering you guys on so hard when you came on the TV. I know everyone was. It was so cool. And Benedict's band also got to be in the parade. So we've had a lot of Midlands bands, musicians be featured at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade the past couple of years, which is awesome.
And they were amazing. And there's high school bands across the state that have been there too, and well represented, and all perform so well. It's amazing. I'll be the first one to say, I'm a band guy, but I'm not a parade guy necessarily. I mean, give me some football and basketball, and I'm good, with the band. But the Macy's thing is it's very, very different. It's there's so many people. It's in New York City. It's been such a tradition that you get so many eyes on you on the camera when you have your 75 seconds is what we have on camera. That's what we practice all fall in our 75-second performance. Then you turn and you're off. But there's definitely something about that makes it super special. Otherwise, it put me in a sports venue and I'm good to go.
It's cool. Yeah, it's just so cool. Thank you for sharing all that, because that was one of the questions I was like, I can't wait to talk about.
Talk about the kids persevering, man, to be that kind of weather and then come out there and perform like that. And it's a story they'll have the rest of their lives. Would they have liked it to have been sunny and 55? Yes, we all would have. But, that's part of the experience and the story, and sharing that with your best friends that you've been working with all fall. That's what they take with them. And that's what all Carolina band alumni have taken with them, and why we're so appreciative to our alumni out there. So.
Yeah, I think the story in 20 years will be, remember when we were soaking wet performing at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? Like,
the bus broke down, and then the lunch was late, and it was like, oh yeah, we had a great performance too. See what comes to mind first. Right?
You guys, obviously, you talked about the family aspect and the experiences and the relationships and all of that. How many would you say of your musicians go on to have careers in music?
Hard to put difficult to put a hard number on
Yeah.
that. So the band of 375, approximately 20 to 25% of that number are music majors. So we're talking like 75% of the band are majoring in something other than music. I mean, and there are roughly 65 to 70 different majors represented in the band in every college and school on campus. So I don't know if people realize that when they look at the band. It's like, oh, it must have been a ton of students that are studying music for their career. No, especially with a band that big and that percentage. And that's kind of the same across the country. These are students who have a deep passion for the university, want to wear the colors and represent the university, and have music stay part of their lives. And I think a lot of them, they'll tell us that many have expressed that coming to do Carolina band is kind of their escape. It's their little, I'll use the word fantasy world, right? This isn't real life. This is college marching band, where you get a lot of real life, lessons from it. But they look at it as kind of a break from their academic rigor, their daily lives of writing papers and taking tests, going to class. They'll come be with people they love, do what they're excited about doing, what they love to do, and take that with them in their careers. So, long answer to a short question. About 20 to 25% of the marching band are music folks.
As we wrap up today, I'm assuming you guys as a department, you have goals going forward. You like to keep the tradition of a band that's, so historic and iconic the way that the Carolina Marching Band is. But I'm assuming that when you guys look forward, you're thinking, what can we do differently? What can we do that's exciting? All of that kind of stuff. What are some of the goals that you guys have going forward that you want to accomplish, that you want to see from the marching band in the future?
Well, one of the great things is about my job is you can almost go every day, every week, but every year is different. It's the Carolina band every year, but it's different individuals making it up. And for us, just to continue to find innovative, sometimes traditional, but also innovative and new ways to connect with our audience, to connect with the people in the venues. I think if you watch what we do or listen to what we do, show-wise and music-wise, we try to encompass a very large, varied music taste. Every show from us isn't classic rock at halftime. Yeah. Every show is, or marching band standards. So we go out and we try to find as much current popular music as we can. We're always to make sure that at least something touches everybody in Williams, 80,000 people in Williams-Brice. They find something that we do that they like. They may be like, I don't know country music. Why are they playing a country music tune? While their neighbor in the stands are going, I love country music. That's great. And the next tune is some Latin tune. They're like, oh, I love that. And so we try to, within each show, we try to be varied, but also across the season. So for me, it's to find new and exciting music that we can present and new ways to do it visually too. And talk about great people to work with here in Gamecock Athletics, the game day experience folks, the marketing folks and what they create and what they've created with the lights and the sound. And we've had talks every year about how we can further bring those two things together and present like pregame and halftime where we're primarily on the field. How can we make that the most exciting moments for the stands, for the people in the stands? And I'm excited about where that can go. The visual side of it's always, the music's always different, and visual, you can always explore different ways to make it more exciting for everybody.
I'm excited to see what you guys do in the future. Jay, I want to thank you so much for coming on our podcast, for talking to me today. As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to say about the marching band, about the music department as a whole that maybe we didn't touch on? I'll let you close us out today.
Oh, wow. I'm very biased, obviously, but USC is an incredible place to work. My colleagues, not just within the bands, but within the School of Music at USC, are incredibly supportive of the students. They want to see them succeed. There are so many performances available for people to come and see, whether it's jazz or classical music, orchestra, bands, choirs. I'm going to leave somebody out and be in trouble, but just the whole, it's such a comprehensive School of Music here at USC, and I think that benefits our students, but hopefully it benefits the community as well. Check out the School of Music website and their calendar and find something, a couple things a month that you can come check out. And most of the things are free from the School of Music, almost everything, with some exceptions but it's all worthwhile to come and see those performances. And I think that's kind of everything. Really, it's an amazing place with amazing alumni, amazing students. I'm so lucky to be here. And these students are so passionate about their sports too. They are living and dying with every play on the field, just like the rest of the fans. And I think sometimes people might think, well, the band just does music and they're over there doing their own thing, but they are invested. And the success of the university and of the sports teams and everything is our success as well, and just happy to be part of it.
Yeah, I know that you guys are so loved. You do have so many people cheering you on, and this has been such a great conversation. Thank you for letting me pick your brain about how everything works. I hope for you guys watching or listening, it opened your minds to how hard these guys work, how hard these musicians work. Maybe you learned something about their process. So I hope it was interesting and entertaining for you guys, because you're our first guest to not be, an athlete or a coach. So this has been really, really fun to dive into an aspect of game day, an aspect of sports that really enhances the entire experience for everyone in the stadium. So I've really enjoyed this conversation. I've learned a lot about your process and how you guys do what you do, because you guys are incredible. You really, really are. Every single part of it is so fun to watch. It's so fun to listen to. And I hope you guys, maybe, if you're going to the game, in Baton Rouge, or, when they come back home here to Columbia, that when you're watching, you're like, wait, I know how that works now. I know what they're doing. So thank you, Jay, for coming on our podcast. I really appreciate it. And this has been so, entertaining. This has been fun, and also this has been, a learning lesson for me on how you guys do what you do. So thank you. That was a long answer, a long closing from me, but thank you so much for joining our podcast, because I learned a lot about what you guys do today.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
That is Dr. Jay Jacobs, the director of the South Carolina Marching Band. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, or follow on YouTube or wherever you listen to our South Carolina Sideline podcast. He's Dr. Jay Jacobs. Go enjoy the marching band. Go check out some of these other concerts and things that they are putting on all the time. What they do is so impressive. They work so hard. They're so talented. And I hope you guys go check them out and support the music and support the School of Music any way that you can. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. He's Dr. Jay Jacobs. I'm Matt Dowell. We'll see you next time here on South Carolina Sideline.